I'm Kilo Von Polygon, and in this video I turn fashion and sports apparel brands into water guns so we can slip and slide in style. I'm starting with the classic Super Soaker. This water gun was a craze in the 90s as it took water guns to the next level. Invented by engineer Lonnie Johnson, the Super Soaker brand has gone on to earn over $1 billion over the last 30 plus years. It has seen many different style updates, but the original Super Soaker 50, 100, and 300 remain iconic. There's only one fashion house that could take this weapon of liquid destruction and make it instantly viral again today, and that's the high fashion designer brand Balenciaga. Known for their wild releases, viral moments, and instantly recognizable shoes, Balenciaga has emerged in the past decade as one of the most polarizing fashion brands today. Whenever their garments, shoes, and accessories appear on social media, the comment sections are littered with the claim that this must be a social experiment. But I have an alternative view. My headcanon hot take is that Balenciaga's crazy items are inspired by a fashionista living in a post-apocalyptic world. Left with nothing to draw inspiration from except the remnants of the past, they are determined to live what's left of their existence in style, even if that means repurposing literal trash. And that's the perspective I'll be drawing from for this Balenciaga Super Soaker collaboration. Imagine the water gun was discarded and found in a pile of junk and fixed up to be functional and fashionable. First, I start by placing cracks in the PVC barrel of the water gun. Anyone who's ever had an old water gun knows they tend to break into jagged pieces like glass. Also, the cracks in the frame don't really affect the functionality as the water goes through a tube within the barrel. Next, in true Balenciaga fashion, I do some distressing and weathering of the body to give it a more post-apocalyptic aesthetic. This destroyed aesthetic really took the fashion world and social media by storm in the 2010s and created a ton of conversation around the brand. Now we also have to add weathering to the reservoir where the water is stored. Now I'm going to go back to the barrel to add even more breakage. I realize now that I should have added the brakes, then used a shell modifier instead of modeling both sides. Here, I add the pressure tube that's normally not visible, but since we're going with the destroyed look, it needs to be featured. To maintain the destroyed theme, I wanted to reimagine the water gun with a missing nozzle. And as a replacement, I want to use a ketchup bottle nozzle. So I'm going to add not one, not two, but 3 nozzles as a nod to Balenciaga's SS sneaker. So here I'm starting on an alternative reservoir bottle to store the water in and, well, my program crashed. Okay, so here I'm working on an alternative reservoir again. And I needed something common, so I chose the half-gallon milk bottle because there's gotta be milk in this bag, right? But this isn't just any milk jug, this is the Balenciaga Spring-Summer 2077 milk from the high fashion farms of Europe. I added the double B's that are awfully similar to Big Black's brand from Robin Big. I also updated the label, and the price for this milk? Hey man, you better off just buying a cow. This milk jug will be as coveted as these bags of Balenciaga chips in the future. Now I'm looking to add more destroyed details. I've decided to add some breakage to the handle, the reservoir mount, and also the manual pump. But I'll also fix it. And what better way to fix it than with some duct tape? You can't have duct tape without proper texturing, so here I add the textures as well. And here's the finished product. We got the triple stacked nozzle, the damaged barrel with the visible pressure tube, the duct tape wrapped manual pump mechanism, the damaged handle and reservoir mount, the Balenciaga milk jug reservoir for water storage with the BB on the backside, and last but not least, the 90s era Super Mario sticker. Now let's look it up on their website. Oh, the Balenci Blaster going for a light $3,995? I'll take 2. At this point, I've been working for hours, but let's move on to the next concept. Now I want to go with the high-tech modern water gun for serious water warfare specialists. The Spiral Water Blaster is known to have the best tech specs on the market with its automatic refill, Spiral Blast tech, and tactical display. So what better brand to collaborate with than Nike, the performance footwear powerhouse known for their air bubbles, react foam, and Flyknit. I could only imagine what they'd think up if they were a water gun company. Both are all about top tier performance for the guy who wants to do a 360 no scope on his little brother Call of Duty style. The Spiral Water Blaster has a sleek design with detailed grooves that mimic the feel of a rifle. But for this Nike mashup, I want to go for a more aggressive look that utilizes the Nike Air Max D8. This is their latest offering in the performance category, and I think it'll work great for a futuristic sci-fi style water gun. First, I 3D modeled the form factor of the Spira, then add the primary detailing of the Nike D&8. With the Nike detailing, I've decided to use the shark gill-like openings as a window that will allow you to visually see how much water you have, similar to how Nike air bubbles allow you to see compression with each step. This design choice is a departure from the original design, as their water storage is actually in the rear of the Spira, but I've decided to take some creative liberties since this project is just for fun, not full-on functionality. Now I'm gonna add the spherical air bubbles from the sneaker design, and I'm imagining these could be used like a secondary water gauge or a power gauge for the user. Here I'm starting to notice that the water gun frame looks super basic and kind of flat, so I want to create some detailing that will give it more personality. Kind of like the weapons from High on Life.
Why aren't we moving? Did you walk away from the game or something? You know I'm real in here, right? You know I'm actually alive?
Maybe not that much personality, but the next best thing. I didn't like the first detailing result, so I started over and went with the more melted liquid look that settles between the shark gills. Now moving on to the spheres. I want to make them appear to be set within the water gun frame in an organic way. So here I'm looking to make the frame inlets appear less flat and more debossed around the spheres, like pushing a ball into clay. Now it's time to model the water gun grip components. This is pretty straightforward, and I mainly focused on making sure the edges are contoured similar to the original design to maintain ergonomic comfort. Moving on to the next section, we have the back panel of the water gun. I decided to go back to the Nike D&8 for inspiration and add a back tab like the sneaker has. Now that the back tab is in place, I modeled the Air Max DN logo to complete the look. Returning to the front of the water gun now, I'm modeling the front grip and keeping it true to the original design. You can't have a water gun without the trigger, and since this is Nike themed, I think it'll be a cool detail to have it shaped like a swoosh. Now to add the swoosh logo to the frame, and I also need to clean up some of the topology around the shark gills so that everything is set properly. For this water gun, I'm using a modeling technique where I've designed half of it, and now I'm prepping everything to be mirrored over to complete the full model. Now for the finishing touches, I modeled the nozzle tip for the water gun to be able to spray. Next up, I have to pick a color scheme, and I decided to go with the orange and hot pink gradient colorway, the same one as the Air Max D&8. Sometimes I just pick what I think looks cool, and I really like how this sneaker reminds me of a sunset. For the back panel detail, I've chosen the carbon fiber material. Many Nike sneakers have had visible carbon fiber shank plates and other details, and I think this adds a nice contrast to the rest of the water gun. And here's the completed model. We have the translucent water reservoir and a drippy liquid detailing, the black spheres to indicate power level, the rubberized grip, the swoosh trigger, and carbon fiber back panel next to the heel plate. I updated the DN logo to read H2O Max to merge the theme of the Nike sneaker and the water gun. Oh yeah, can't forget the digital water display. The fashion brand Mowalola has the kind of ad campaigns that will trigger the safe search blur filters on Google. Mowalola's namesake is an emerging fashion designer that has had some major moments in recent years, such as the wet tank top collab with Yeezy that had the ladies of TikTok and Instagram in a frenzy a couple years back. This is the only promo pic from that campaign I feel comfortable showing on YouTube, with some small adjustments of course. Her brand is also known for its logo flips, where she's remixed the Yankees logo, McDonald's logo, and the Ebony logo recently. Although the Ebony logo is from Ebony magazine, it was inspired by artist Dean Blunt, who used it for his Black is Beautiful album cover. This is the logo I'll be taking inspiration from today. This logo is a flip from Sony's Y2K era Sony Walkman logo. Mowalola has a large following from the ladies, and they're gonna need a water gun that can fit in a Moa bag. So I decided to use this petite water gun as inspiration. This water gun is a simpler design, and I want the most prominent detail to be the Moa logo. The water gun itself is a classic water pistol that can be found at most dollar stores in the US. Starting out, it sort of looks like a camel, but once I extrude, the M will start to read more clearly. Here I'm trying to get the rounded 3D shape for the M logo, and it's a little tougher to achieve than I anticipated, so I have to apply my advanced 3D BBL techniques. Now I'm moving on to the grip details, and I'm keeping it simple. Here I make the opening for the water inlet and the cover. Now I'm adding the trigger, which is simply an extruded cylinder with a flared end. Next is the nozzle for the barrel. I'm trying out different color combinations to bring the idea to life in a way that captures the Mowalola aesthetic. Now to move on to texturing. If you've ever had one of these water guns, they always have a rough but smooth asphalt-like finish to them, so that's what I'm going to use. Now I want to add the Mowalola branding. I wasn't satisfied with the color schemes because I really wanted the M logo to pop when you see it, so I reworked the UVW map to be a multicolor object and made the M a contrasting color from the rest of the water gun. As a finishing touch, I decided to keep working on the shape of the M to have a smoother transition from each side of the frame. Here I finished the water inlet and add the final components to the water gun and make the frame translucent. And here's the finished result. Let me know which design is your favorite and like, comment, subscribe.